2, 1, and what's going on, everybody? It is your boy, Self-Love Gangsta, once again. I'm sure, like many of you out there, that my week didn't look too much different in terms of stress, in terms of fear, in terms of just general uncertainty. But I want you to know, your boy has never given up on you. So long as my heart beats, so much as there's flowing blood in my body and oxygen in my lungs, I will not give up on you. I do feel like doing it sometimes, but I think a lot of us do. But I want to invest in you like I'm investing in myself. And so that's really been the theme of the week, of really the whole month, frankly, ever since I started this self-love journey. And what is today now? It's like day 22nd, the 22nd day or 23rd day. Doesn't matter. We're almost a month deep into this, and frankly, I didn't know if I would be able to continue once again. That's what took me so long to make another video. So far, this has been the longest gap between making videos, and I have to tell you, it didn't feel good to me either. It did not. But it feels good as shit being back, I have to tell you. This has been a week packed to the brim with resistance, with anger, with trying to bargain, with what I probably would have called a higher power in the past, but I think I'll just call source consciousness, because I don't know, I like that better. It doesn't have as much baggage attached to it. You let me know in the comments if you enjoy that better. But it has been a long fucking week, I have to tell you. Full of hard conversations, some with family, some with what I thought might be a new connection. Well, it was a new connection, what I thought would be a longer lasting connection, which triggered a lot of old feelings and memories from my childhood, to be quite frank with you. But as I went along the course of this week, and by the way, I'm kind of debating with myself in real time, should I dive into the details? Yes, the answer is yes. So this may be a longer video, so I'm going to have to short between arms, because that's going to be a lot. Basically, your boy did commit to the meetup groups and going out, and I plan to continue doing that, at least going out. I might be more selective with how I'm gonna roll with that. That was the lesson, because at first, when I had sort of a falling out very quickly with somebody I met at one of the meetup groups I go to, at first I had a strong impulse to be like, oh, well, fuck that going forward. I guess I won't put myself out there. But something about that felt awful and incorrect, and because it was the wrong thing to do. The better thing to do would be to use your critical thinking skills, and I'm a big boy, I can do that. That was the conversation that I had with myself. It was to acknowledge that, just because it doesn't work out with somebody, with one person in particular, doesn't mean you shouldn't keep trying. And it was a very big deal for me, having that conversation with myself. Prior to that, I would have just been like, well, it's hopeless. We should just say fuck it and just stop doing stop pursuing new connections. But the reality is, I probably would have known this wasn't the right fit straight off the bat if I had listened to this one and listened to this one, saying my gut. If you didn't understand that, but you folks are smart. You're probably 10 steps ahead of me, even. But that was basically I'll just use that one example. Basically, we were incompatible. I'll just say that. And there was sort of a tough conversation that I decided to initiate with this person that I met through one of the meetup groups over the phone. And at first, my instinct was to just say, don't even bother, ghost them. Like I've done with other people, like other people have done with me. But something about that also felt very awful. And frankly, like it would do more damage than just biting the bullet and being like, you know what, after hanging out with this person, prior to that, we were just for a few days talking on and off, texting, having brief phone calls. It wasn't until we hung out in person that I realized, ooh, this is not an energetic match. Which is not a very bueno feeling, which I'm sure I don't need to tell you people. But anyway, it wasn't until that happened I realized, what I need in my life is a lot more calmness, at least starting out. A lot of cooler, calming energy from people in my life, and I need to really own that because I get overwhelmed very, very easily, and my heart, like the actual organ, is in a very precarious place right now, and I need to keep it sort of even keeled, so to speak. I need to keep it calm and at closer to a resting heart rate as much as I possibly can. At least that's what I feel right now to be true. And the person I was with is more just energetically very fast-paced, very nonstop, talkative, not very attuned. Yeah, I'll be constructively critical to this person, not very attuned at all. And by the way, that doesn't mean that I'm not still struggling with it. But I know enough now to know that you gotta attune to people, and you don't have to be perfect at it, but you gotta make people feel like you're right there with them. And that looks like noticing before they have to say anything that, hey, I'm kind of out of breath, I feel like we're moving in too fast of a pace. And so that's kind of how I felt. Things were just so rushed and kind of ungrounded. And I really don't need that in my life right now. And I felt, it's my responsibility to break this off in a more direct manner, albeit imperfect. I will own the fact that this was the criticism aimed towards me after that conflict, after that discussion that, kind of turned into a verbal back and forth, not as derogatory as many unfortunate verbal conflicts in my life have gotten, but still, it was rough. It was rough. There was a lot of finger pointing and deflecting. There wasn't a stenographer there, but I think if anyone else is watching who had more of a neutral standpoint, I would say, I think it'd be fair to say there was less, at least intended, deflecting on my part. I won't even get into that, because you know what? I want other people outside of myself to decide. That's not fair to this person. And frankly, it's not fair to me, because I don't want to add any more emotional weight to this situation than really there needs to be added. It's over, but the point was that, things were still kind of messy, but I think ultimately it was the right thing to do, to let this person know that it's just, there isn't actually anything wrong with you, or myself for that matter. It's just, sometimes you don't find out it's not meant to be until you hang out in person with a new person that if you're the kind of person like me that's trying to go out there and make new connections in real life. And this was just one of those. But anyway, after that conflict happened, I spent, initially after, I was in like major fight or flight. If you've had a situation, even if you really try to hold it together, but it still gets heated, it's hard to tell that to your amygdala, or whatever the part in your body is that controls your fight or flight. Is it the amygdala? I don't know. I need to read a book. But or is it the vagus nerve? I don't fucking know, man. Let's not do that. It's a note to myself. Let's not get into the nitty gritty with that. But yeah, the point still stands. Sometimes it's hard then to get out of that fight or flight sort of momentum. And so I don't want to bog you down with too many more details. I kind of fell into a cycle of running into, a desire to watch really conflict-full political videos. And then I thought about my dad and how currently things aren't, we're just not getting along very well. And then I kind of pulled more things into my reality that made me feel like, you're doing this to me, you are oppressing me and you're keeping me down, and I want to fight you verbally. And to be honest, while I was by myself, of course, there's that urge to want to punch somebody or something. I would never act on that, right? But the desire was certainly there, as it can be many times for many of us. And something I'll add about myself, I've really struggled in regulating my own anger and knowing how to speak to it in a way that I can work with it instead of fight against it. And it's an extremely powerless feeling, being in that anger. It's unbelievable. Like, it feels like a crushing feeling on my heart. It's hard to breathe. I feel like there's just not enough oxygen getting into my body. Maybe, I'm certain many of you out there can relate to that. For many of us who were not allowed to feel angry in our childhood, or else there would be major consequences. Teal Swan has talked about this. Usually if you have members of your family who raised you in your childhood who come from a religious background, that tends to be a common occurrence for children, is that they're trained to turn against their anger instead of learn from it and work with it and grow with it, use it as a tool to understand their own boundaries. That's the trouble with trying to move forward in your life, when you've learned to make an enemy of your anger because it wasn't safe for you to let yourself be angry, to have your boundaries honored as a child. So that sort of that was sort of a callback, so to speak, emotionally or feeling wise. Really brought my attention back to, I have a horrible relationship with my own anger and my own boundaries. And I got caught in that, and there's still like residual feelings there. But at this point, and the reason I'm back here with you, is I kind of got to a point earlier today, or I guess late last night, somewhere in there. Bless me. I got to a point, yes, where I was like, you know what? I can't talk to my anger right now. I can't do it in a genuinely understanding or compassionate way. At this point, I'm just turning against myself. It's no longer about what sort of conflict I had with this person over here, i.e. the person from the meetup group. It's no longer about my dad. It's no longer about a friend I was hanging out with from another meetup group that I've known for close to a year now. At that point, I realized this is really putting the brakes on a genuine self-loving, continued self-loving acts towards myself and actions. I really am just kind of spinning around. And I realized, no, the problem isn't being angry, and the problem isn't that I want to feel in a more allowing place, a more relaxed place where I can move forward and think clearly and I'm not in the whirlwind of my angry feelings and thoughts. The problem is neither, right? The problem is that I'm making I'm letting these parts of me that are split make an enemy of each other instead of realize I need to try and neutralize the weight I'm giving either side and giving more ammo to this side and giving more ammo to this side. And I realized, oh my God, it's just resistance. It is just resistance. Like, it is not, your boy is not down for the count for good. This is yet again, and I already went through a milder bit of this earlier in the self-love journey on day, is like the first few days into a week, and now here's the second bout of major resistance. And then just the fact that I went through that prior, I was like, ding, 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 like, I got a light bulb. I got a fucking light bulb, people. This is just resistance. This is not a 5 alarm fire where we need to just completely give up in a sort of self-hating way and have this negative talk that I would have given myself many moons past, where I make it about my own personal failings as a human being. And I can happily say we didn't do that this time. I did quickly recognize, solution is to just consciously choose to put the brakes on everything and to decide, what, I'm going to give myself permission to completely give up in a loving way and be like, this isn't helping me. And I keep trying to hold on to the what would somebody who loved themselves do question for dear life. But it's distorted now because there's so much resistance kind of embedded in it. And I need to completely, I think, hit the refresh button. And so I sat up on my couch that I sleep on, which is my bed right now, and just leaned back and meditated. Took out all of my, bless me once more, took out all of my, headphones, any distractions, and it hurt like a bitch, as it does if you're like me and you are also addicted to that digital heroin we call the internet. Put that aside and just let myself sit in silence and just totally try to listen to the parts of me that were battling it out and just let them, over the course of time, give them as much time as they need to let me know where I'm going wrong. And the main takeaway was